I was just first time. I was first time there. I'm just thinking because they didn't separate you in the sanctuary. Now, as far as what you was able to sit with your family.
Mama went back so she can.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
I saw her. There was husbands and wives in front of me sitting together, and there was men behind me, and I was like, we were sitting as where I sat again.
Yeah, the separation didn't start after the service. Because I asked them that specifically. I was like, but can men sit with their wife? He was like, yeah, you sit with your family when you're in the sanctuary.
I saw when we were there, the sister, we was talking, and the brothers was nearby, and she like went kind of around them. And I was like, why are you doing that? She said, because your body's tempted.
Oh, wow.
And I realized how we always was tempted by sense. You know, like, he's talking, I want him, he's saving my sister. So, they're mindful of all of those things that lead to lust.
Exactly.
And, yeah, that's what they're mindful of. I mean, I've been in churches and the brother talked to me, and by the time they talked to me, I thought that was my husband.
Oh, Lord, Mona, he showed up. Showed up now.
No, because it's
I just
things that
messing with you,
they say. So to avoid all of them things that happen, and you know what happened.
Yes, exactly. You know I'm gonna mess with you, though. You know I'm gonna mess with you. Go ahead, Elder. Elder wants to say something.
I was just going to say that that's not something that happened overnight or immediately. I think that this is something that they gradually got to, because if you look at some other nations of peoples, I'm sure you guys have heard of some of these countries that have arranged marriages. Okay, and a lot of that stems from is the fact that people live in community, or they know the family, they know how you were raised, and so they know what your values are. And so keeping people separate, I mean, a lot of people, they end up getting these arranged marriages. They are hooked up together from birth almost. Where they say this one is going to marry this one, because these families already know each other.
Exactly. And it just depends, but yeah, you know, with that also, because I think that's a good thing. Arranged marriages, in a sense. Now I ain't gonna I was talking to some of the Eastern people that work with me, and I was just asking, you don't ever want to just assume, but I was asking them about it, and you know, they were saying that it is arranged, but they still have an opportunity to pick amongst. Ain't like you gonna be with Hope or Bubbles, and that's just it. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. But that's one thing that, you know, we have talked about. But some of the ones that we've been knowing for years and stuff like that as a community, raising up. I don't know who's gonna get that one there. Got to be strong. That ain't no joke. But raising our children together, because it saves a lot of headache and a lot of heartache. You got somebody already going the way you going. Y'all already understand, and you can circumvent a lot of problems.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. I say the same thing.
And when they separated after church, and the woman went to the back, the brothers went to the front. That was kind of good to me, because most of the time the brothers shun away, and the women all up in the pastor's face. You know, most of the time. That's
what I said. I liked that part of it. Like, it was different, but I like how the men, the elders, got the men. Come on around here. I was like, okay. Come on around here with the other elders, and I love how the women came and got the other women. But, you know, like you said, to each is different and stuff like that. Like I said, some of that we won't, we won't do. Now, we have safeguards and stuff like this as far as with men and women and stuff like that. But as far as, especially like my understanding, especially with the Sabbath, is a family type thing. And that's, you know, the first of Sabbath is a memorial to the Most High because of what he established he sanctifying that day. A memorial to creation because of what he did on that day, and then a memorial to family worship on that day. So those are three things that you have to implement. But like I said, you have to use wisdom because of what might have happened. You might say, this is how we're going to do, this is how we're going to set up to circumvent anything that could happen. You see what I'm saying?
And just like every family is different, every congregation is going to be different. And that doesn't mean that just because we operate one way, you operate another way, y'all operate a third way, that anybody's wrong.
Exactly.
But you have to do what works for you.
Exactly.
Based on
the needs of the people.
The needs of your people, you know, and please when I was presenting my thoughts, don't think that I didn't get that. It was just
No, because I said the same thing you said.
Okay. But that was
You good, sis?
I really did.
Oh, y'all, we're going to have a whole study about this. Go ahead.
Also,
I just mess with you.
and we should just, we came up, we were saying especially with the 7 churches in Revelation.
Mhm.
So the Most High went to each one, he had something different against each one of them. If they were all doing the same thing, he wouldn't have something different against each
That's a
one
good
of them.
point, though.
And so we have to realize that when we're going for what we're doing.
Got one behind you.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
I wasn't there, but I heard, and the separation thing could be something like, we had 613 laws, but all those laws happened after something happened. So every time something occurred, the Most High said, okay, we're going to do this right here.
Yeah,
We're going to do this right here. So it wasn't at first 613, but it came up to 613 and stop all this.
That's right. Good point, brother.
That's true.
That is so true.
That's right.
I got one.
Okay. I asked permission to see if we could. Please, if the children, if we could still have a moment with them after.
Oh, after?
Yeah, after.
Okay.
Okay, if we could still, because they did their homework. Congratulations, children, on doing their
Oh,
homework.
good job.
They did a great job. And I also want to request us, before we close out, a special prayer for the children going back to school.
Oh, for sure.
And there was something else I asked you about. If I could just honor our emas. Can our emas stand? Let's honor our emas. They don't know who they are.
They know who they
They
are.
don't know who they are. Thank
Come
you.
on, yeah, you
Honor
over
our
50,
emas.
you over 50, stand on up.
Praise. We thank the Father for our emas. Thank you, Dad. Thank you so much. And we had a wonderful sister's call yesterday. One of our emas, Adaya, is not here. Yes, please come. Let the children come honor our emas. Come honor our emas. We are grateful for
They did that
baptizing.
They did that too.
Yeah.
They got up and they
Stay right there because we have to honor our elder. Our elder. Ask our elder to stay.
We got one right now. That's good.
Please honor our elder, children. Honor our elder.
MJ, on over there, you keep honoring your sister. Go look. Lord have mercy.
Honor elder. Go honor elder.
Yeah, that's important though. That's important. 'Cause like the scriptures say in the law that we supposed to honor the aged men and aged women, and it's going back to prophecy also too, where it talks about I think it was Jeremiah, that would turn the hearts of the fathers back to the children and the hearts of the children back to the fathers. So that's important.
Well, let me say one more thing.
Go ahead, get the mic, get the mic.
As far as that goes, is that
After being up there in South Carolina and then coming back here and realizing this here by doing this thing of honoring the elders, it makes me realize that there's something more that I need to step into as an elder. You know, because I forget sometimes that everybody in here is younger than my oldest child. You know, and it makes me feel like, well, it makes me realize that there is more that I have to offer.
Yes,
and
sir.
more that I have to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Especially as the elder. Yes, sir. Most definitely. Definitely need that wisdom, that insight, and different things like that. And I'll talk to you about some things after. You know me, you sign up, you can sign up. Okay. So y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Everybody all right?
All right.
All right, we got a good lesson today. When you get a chance, please go listen to Josh's lessons on grabbing a tiger by its tail. Josh is my historian. That boy is a history buff. I mean, goodness, boy. So this kind of gonna go along with that, gonna tie in and with that. Some of y'all have seen some of the stuff that I'm going to say in here about signs and symbols and different things of that nature. But you have to keep along with what he did, because this is going to tie along with that. Also, please, when you get an opportunity, go look at the teaching that we did on what is sex. You want to look at that, and you want to be able to minister that as your children grow, so they can see the importance of their virginity and the importance of sex and what sex is. I ain't just laying down having a great feeling. The best feeling in the world now. The best feeling in the world. Ain't no feeling better than that. But they got to they got to understand what they doing so they won't be so casual as the world trying to push them to be with sex and with their bodies and with those understandings. So most definitely. Oh, man. All right, here we go. The vengeance of the penalty of spilling of innocent blood. How important is blood to the Most High? Very.
He's into blood.
He's in the blood. Give me your thoughts. What he's saying. He's in the blood. Go ahead.
Oh, you say this.
What the mic at? Let's get the mic. Let's pass the mic around. How important is blood to the Most High? And when you understand that ancient Eastern world, you'll understand how serious blood is and how serious a blood covenant is. But go ahead, brother.
It's almost involved in every covenant he made.
That's right.
Oh, it is.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Somebody else had something?
He said drink his blood. He said he made direct prohibitions against us eating blood or drinking blood or consuming blood of any sort. It is by blood that we are able to conceive and procreate. And the maledictory oath that Abraham was given, what the Most High gave to Abraham, it was through the cutting of specific animals and the blood, and his spirit passing through their bloody parts. Blood is key. He said to look in the heavens for signs such as a blood moon, and things either not just on earth but in the sky. He gives us the symbol of the red and the blood, and we all know that through the blood of his son is how we were able to have the perfect atonement for our sins.
That's good. All that was a great answer. Go ahead.
And the first time that blood was spilled, it cried out to the Most High from the ground.
From the earth.
So it was
Not all blood cry.
the blood of man.
Not all blood cry out. It's a specific blood that cries out to the Most High. Innocent blood is what cries out that the Most High coming with vengeance if they don't get taken care of. Innocent blood that he don't play by. Because some blood is justifiable. That's why he says go into some camps and some places and kill everybody. I want you to kill the animals. I want you to kill everything. So all blood he ain't upset about, but innocent blood he feel a certain way about. And that's a problem. You have something, Sister Donna? All right, let's keep going. So watch this. Leviticus 17 and 11. Can anybody see that to read that? Leviticus 17 and 11.
For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
I was not expecting the elder way back there today to read. I look at some of these young guys. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls.
For the life of the flesh. The life of the flesh is in the blood. The life of the flesh. So through the bloodstream is flowing something in the body that's giving it life. So the life of the flesh is the blood. And I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that makes atonement for your soul. Let's keep moving. Hebrews 9 and 22. And by law, almost what? All things are purged with blood. So it's something about blood that purges him and make him be appeased when he was angry. It's something about blood that makes him want to get rid of his wrath. But the point of the blood ain't for him. The point of the blood, it ain't that he just wants an animal to die. But it's something that he wants you to get and to understand that should move you internally to want to please him to a greater level and be remorseful for what you have done. And this is why he gave us what? Sacrifices and offerings. Because when you look at what offerings is, and you look at what the concept of that word, offerings is to draw near. So it's certain things that he has given us to do that helps us draw near to him and have him draw near to you. So without the shedding of blood, there's what? No remission of sin. So it's something that blood is supposed to do that would give you remission of sin. Not just regular blood, but innocent blood. Something dying that wasn't supposed to die. They're supposed to get you to realize your sin to put you back in the place where you're supposed to be. Let's keep moving. Hebrews 9 and 22. In fact, under the law, almost everything is cleansed with blood. And without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness, neither release from sin and its guilt, nor the cancellation of the merited of punishment. So sin also brings a guilt to it also too. So why animal sacrifices?
Well, number one, they were created.
Get the mic.
They were created on the sixth day, the same as man. And so I believe the Most High wanted us to be able to identify ourselves with the animals when there was a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
They had to be.
Watch your hand, baby. Don't do that. Watch your hand. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I know that through y'all. Your baby. She all right. She all right. But go ahead.
Because when we have to sacrifice an animal, we should see ourselves in the stead of the animal.
Exactly.
Because they were created, I believe, on the same sixth day as mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And so to not actually have other gods demand human blood.
Yeah.
The Most High uses animals to show humans or to be reminded of the sacrifice.
So remember that you got to remember, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but all of creation seen how the Most High operated.
That's right.
So everything that was in heaven before man even was created on earth knew what it took to get remission. So just as the Most High wanted a sacrifice, you can't do what you ain't seen. You can't perceive what you ain't seen. You can't imagine what you ain't seen. Right? So when it comes to heaven, every angelic, or I don't even like the word angel, but every son that was in heaven seen what the Most High required, even if they fail, and they're going to require the same thing. So they're going to require a level of what? Blood sacrifices. And that's why different cultures would sacrifice their children, or they would sacrifice a human to what? Appease their God. So this is also even where the first form of prostitution came from, even during Nimrod's time. Because they would have people up doing sexual rituals and self-worship, women just to have those babies to sacrifice. These babies. It wasn't just, they were just sacrificing, a husband and wife, they got together, they just going to sacrifice their child. No, they had babies to sacrifice. They had women set up just to have babies to sacrifice. I can show you it's the same thing going on today.
Wow.
All right. So animal sacrifice is extremely important. Let's keep reading. Watch this. And you just already hit this. When a person sacrificed an animal, they were meant to see the blood. They were meant to see the blood and realize the cost of their actions. They were supposed to realize that what meant to have blood, they were supposed to realize what it meant to have blood on their hands. That because I messed up, something innocent had to die. So now the blood is on my hands of this innocent animal or this innocent thing. And this is why even when David made a mistake, he said what in Psalms 51, deliver me from what? Blood guiltiness. Because of the decision I made, something had to die. Because something selfish they did, something died. So the blood was meant to teach them a heart about the cost of sin. If you go back and look at the contents quoted in verses that the Most High was tired of sacrifices, that he didn't desire them, you'll find the whole point was how they sacrifice for sin without the remorse of sin is useless. The sacrifice of sin without the remorse of sin is useless. So what did Israel begin to do? They began to just get animals. I messed up. Let me go get this animal. He gonna die. I'll be all right. The same thing we do today. We look at the Most High and we don't look at different things that we think or say that are sinful. And we just go on. Or we'll say something when in our heart against somebody and just say it to them in a certain type of way with no remorse. Ain't even looking at how you affected that person. Ain't looking at how your words could have veered their person off their path. Because what? You spoke from your heart of angriness or upsetness or hurt. Because a lot of us have been hurt in the past. So now what? We guarding our heart from that hurt. So if anything reminds us of that hurt, boom, we lash it. Not looking at this is costing not just that person, but this is costing me my life. Because what? I haven't dealt with what's on my hands. What have you cost your family? We always bring it back to you. I ain't talking about what somebody did to you. I'm talking about what have you cost your family but not being in the right place or doing what you're supposed to do? What have you cost your relationship by speaking the hurt? What have you cost your community by speaking against it? It's the blood on your hands that you're trying to portray it on everybody else's hand, and the Most High looking at, when you come before me, I'm only going to be looking at you. We get what we're saying. So when an animal was sacrificed, and y'all have heard me say this before. Come here, Jeff. No, MJ. Come here, MJ. So if MJ is the sacrifice, say he or she or a goat, right? And I'm looking at MJ have to be sacrificed for me, something that I did. He had to die. So I'm supposed to be looking at the guilt of what this caused, the creation of the Most High, based on some stupid that I did. That I'm messing up the whole ecosystem of what the Most High established in the beginning because of my stupidness.
You messing up the harmony.
Messing up the harmony of everything. Why? Because I did something irregardless of what the Most High set up. Now I'm looking at this, and as this animal is dying, I am releasing my sin to die with this animal. Because it's already bringing remorse in my spirit. So now I'm releasing the sin of what I did to die with this animal, that I won't do it no more. Because the thing that caused this sin to happen has to die with the animal, has to die inside the animal. So what? I won't do this no more, or the guilt of this animal, blood would stay on my hands. And what would happen? Consistent, recurring cycles of the same thing. Until what? You get the blood off your hand. This is why I'm watchful. I'm watchful about stuff that I did and have done. Because I want to know if something is consistently happening to me or happening to my lineage, where's the blood? Who hands this blood on? It ain't until what I ask for forgiveness and completely repent that the blood is off my hands now. It stops the cycle. This is why even with us being Israel and having these curses on us, it ain't until we completely repent that he said, when you're in the land of your captivity, and when the blessings and the cursing are coming of you, if you return unto me with all your heart, mind, and soul, and return to the Messiah, you will be released from the guilt of those things. And then what? I can show up and remember the covenant on your behalf. But if you stay in what you're in, it's going to consistently happen. That's why people are going to be consistently dying. This is why we're going to be consistently killed. Because what? We still have the blood on our hands of the broken covenant. And it won't stop until we as a nation. That's why the Most High message was what? That's why the Most High. That's why Yeshua's message was what? His first thing, what he said. Repent. Get the blood off your hands. Because there's a kingdom coming. So if you don't get this off you, you won't be fit for the kingdom. That makes sense. So it's something about blood that's in covenant that binds you together. There's something about, go ahead, brother. Give him the mic.
You just made me think about something, and I recall in the story of Moshe, when he came down from the mountain to make a covenant of his people with Yah, he sealed that covenant by sprinkling blood on the people. The sprinkling of that blood meant that this is confirmed.
This is confirmed. This is confirmed now, and we're finna get into that. Well, you ahead of me.
Okay,
No, you good. You good. That means when blood is in the covenant, that means that it's confirmed and it's been completed. Now the ratification of it must happen. So let's go back to the binding power of blood, right? When you also look at, you just take husband and wife. You take two people, right? Well, my wife got the baby. Come here, Jack. It's my baby. Ain't no pedophile going on, but it's my baby. All right. So, with me and my wife, you got two separate people. Come on, be my wife, boo. He on there. He's dealing with babies now. All right, so you got two separate people, right? That came from two separate different lives, finna unite and become one. But the only way we can become one is through blood. That's the only way that the mystery of the oneness can happen. So when we become one, now the Most High looking at us as one complete flesh now. And we came together by what? The blood of the covenant. Because even when we get married, when I enter her, I release blood into her that seals the covenant even more. So every time that you are having sex, you are resealing that covenant. Resealing that covenant. So this is why marriage has to be in the sex has to be in the confines of marriage. Now, the vindication of this oneness is come out, baby. It's children. It's the vindication that the two then became one. Because of her, come back. Because of this joining, this child can never be separated from us too. That's why she is the vindication of this union of the mystery of one flesh. That's why we produce what? One flesh. You see what I'm saying? That's a perfect mix of what? The two coming together. All DNA, all natural, spiritual, and everything. She is edification that what? This flesh has become one. And it's hard to separate from that flesh because when you do that, you rip anything that's stuck together. When you rip it apart, part of it comes and part of it and it get lost together. That's why he said that. So it's important now. That's a whole nother teaching on that. There's a lot of wrong teaching about divorce, but this ain't that teaching. But anyway, so it's important that because of blood, it binded us together, right? Yes. And you think about the same thing when the Most High, go ahead, baby. When the Most High made a covenant with Abraham, he had to have blood. What did he do? He cut Abraham's member. And the blood, what, began to run. What, sealing him with the Most High, right? So every time that Abraham would look into the heavens and look at the sea, he said, just as the stars in the heaven, your seed going to be, just as the sands of the sea, your seed going to be. He was reminded of that every time he went to the bathroom. Because the Most High wants you to do stuff that's going to remind you of a promise that he gave you. So what? Your faith can't waver. So every time that he went to the bathroom, he was looking down at a confirmation of the covenant that the Most High made. That's why his faith was not going to waver. Because I want everything in you to show that I'm going to confirm what I said. This is why, when you understand this is why in ancient Eastern culture, they understood how serious a blood covenant is. And when you make a blood covenant with somebody, you become one. So the Most High became one with the nation of Israel, right? He became one with that. He gave them his mind. He gave them his power. He gave them his ability. He gave them everything. Become one with him. When you bind by blood, I can't do away with you. This is why nobody can ever say that the Most High don't deal with Israel no more. He has to confirm what he said with Israel. But because when a greater nation would come into covenant with a lower nation, now that lower nation has the power and authority and ability of that greater nation. And this is why even in years ago, when some of the Europeans used to try to go through the African nations, they couldn't just walk through them. Or they would get their head bust. They had to have covenants and set covenants with the people in order to go through those lands. And sometimes when they was able to go through those lands, because a greater nation gave them a covenant, this nation that was going to kill them allowed them to pass through. Why? Because they said if they mess with these people, this big nation here coming against you. Now think about that now. Now I'm going spiritual. Think about that you in covenant with the greatest Elohim ever. What can mess with you? Spiritually now. Think about that. A lot of things spiritually is no demonic realm or entity that can overpower you when you understand who you in covenant with. Then you can stand as a priest and get people delivered. You understand what I'm saying? And this is why they have to, I don't know if y'all ever dealt with demonic spirits or not. But this is why they have to bow to you. They have to do what you say. I done seen it. Done dealt with them. Done seen it in action. Even when they try to make people like the brother that was just trying to make him go crazy. Because of who we in covenant with, I was able to speak to that realm that those voices had to leave. Why? Because the voices know what I know. And know you in covenant with. Who you in covenant with. And when you walk in that confidence, nothing can be against you. Nothing can hold you back. The only thing that can hold you is what? Your own unbelief. You see what I'm saying? So this is why it's important to understand not knocking yourself out of the realm or the protection of the Most High by doing stupid stuff. Because then when you stand in front of him, oh yeah, he gonna bust your head. That makes sense? Yeah. You want to say something?
It's real.
That's right. That's right. Anybody else?
It happened to me this week.
Okay.
And my husband and I had an encounter.
Get the mic.
And we had to cast the demon out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Get the mic.
it's real.
That's right.
There's power in his name.
That's right.
They have to obey.
That's right.
Prayer still works.
That's right. That's right.
The covenant is real.
The covenant is real. And when they understand that you know and you know what you're doing, they can't do nothing about that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. But let me say it ain't in letters now. I have to say this for online. It ain't in letters, but it's in authority. And this is why he said there's no other name under what? Heaven that men must be saved but the name of what? Now, if we just say it's one name that's dealing with letters, then what you going to say to people that cannot pronunciate those names? That's the whole point of transliteration. That's why the Greeks couldn't pronunciate Yehoshua or Yeshua. That's why they had to say Iesos, because it wasn't in their alphabet to even pronunciate that with sound.
Okay.
So this is why, so it won't be no salvation for the Greeks, no salvation for the Romans, no salvation for any of these other nations, because what, they can't say the name of Yeshua, can't say the name of Jesus? It ain't in letters, it's in authority. That's why he said there's no other what? Authority in heaven which men may be saved, but the authority what? That I have given my son. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why it's important to understand what name means from a Hebraic mindset. Name have nothing, the Hebrews didn't care nothing about no letters like that. When they said name, they was talking about authority, character, and reputation. This is why the Most High said that I ain't going to deliver Israel for their sakes, but I'm going to deliver them for what? My name, my what? Reputation. So what? My reputation won't be what? Distorted among the Gentiles. This ain't got nothing to do with no letters. My character, my reputation, and my authority I have given to Israel. But you don't know the power you have. You're a lion that's caged up in the zoo and been trained by taskmasters and being obedient to taskmasters when you got all the power to deliver yourself and your people and run the whole zoo. But you've been trained to be that way. Go ahead. I ain't even got to.
I'm sorry.
No, you ain't. I'm talking about myself.
Okay. Because I heard you say the word guilt, and something hit me that I think kind of like holding guilt, like or myself guilty for doing certain things or not being where I think I should be or the man I should be. How do you think that can stop your progress?
Big time.
And maturity. And then what can I do about it?
It's going to be in the presentation.
Okay.
Be in the presentation. Everything you need to do about that. We're going to bring it full circle.
Okay.
That's why you need to understand blood first and covenant. So let's give it the concept of covenant. Covenant is based on mutual trust. A contract is based on mutual distrust. Cut means to berit, to cut, or to bind. You got to move fast. Steps of making a covenant. From the historical evidence, several steps of covenant making emerge as common in ancient times. Ancient covenants were always a very solemn and serious agreement. Animal sacrifice was almost always included. Covenants were accompanied by the promises of blessing and obedience to one of the curses of disobedience. In pagan society, participants almost always invoked their false gods as witness to secure an agreement. Finally, a sign of the covenant will usually accompany the sealing of the agreement. Now, that's important to understand the signs of the covenant. So in a covenant, you have elements of blood sacrifices. You have an oath containing the blessings and the curses. You have a witness of the covenant of a third party. You have a sign and a seal and a token of the covenant. Now, you can never do away with a sign or a seal. Because what was the sign? Let's go through some of them. What was the sign and seal of Noah covenant? Covenant Noah, rainbow, right? And what we supposed to do? We supposed to respect that sign. We supposed to get encouragement from that sign. And our faith built from that sign, right? You can't do away with the rainbow, can you? All right, so what's the sign and seal of when Israel made a covenant with the Most High? The Sabbath. You can't do away with a seal. He said this will be what? A sign between what? Me and you throughout what? Your generations. So how is the Sabbath done away with if the rainbow ain't? Can you do away with the sign that he gave Abraham of that covenant, circumcision? That was what? A sign and the seal. You're supposed to respect it, honor it, and gather faith from it. Right? Y'all follow?
Yeah.
Sign and seal of the covenant or the restored covenant that Messiah brought was what? Just think. The sign and seal of the covenant that Yeshua brought or Yehoshua brought. Life, but what's another word for life? That he breathed in man what? Breath. And what is breath? Spirit. And what did he give us? A new spirit. But what did he give us? That he said expedient that I had to go. The Holy Spirit. The Ruach. The Ruach Hakodesh. Y'all was getting there. Y'all was getting there. So the Ruach Hakodesh what guides and seals us and our promise, right? Now, I'm going to show you something that I've been thinking about. What was the sign, what was the token of the covenant of the Garden of Eden?
The token of the
The
Garden.
token and the sign and seal. Huh? He gave him something. Eve.
That help him?
Watch this.
Yeah, because he gave Adam Eve.
He gave Adam Eve and put the promise of a deliverer in Eve to what? Consistently give Adam or Adam man confidence and faith that a deliverer was coming. Through what? The sign and gift that he gave to man. Through her womb, or just her period. This is why he said, when he seen that, he said, the two what must become what? One. This is why man cannot disrespect the Most High sign and his seal. You can't forsake what? Your sign and your seal. Because what? When you disrespect the seal, disrespect the Most High. So she's a gift. She's a token of the restoration that I'm going to bring through her womb. Completely.
Amen, amen, amen. You're so funny, you're so funny.
But completely. Because nothing else in the garden was a continued sign and seal or a promise seed. Because every other seal was a promise. The rainbow was a promise of what? That he wasn't going to flood no more. The circumcision was a promise of what? That your children going to have this land. The Sabbath was a promise of what? The eternal rest that I'm going to give y'all. The seed of David was a promise of what? That there's going to be a king that's going to come after you that's going to never leave this throne. Right? The Holy Spirit was a promise of what? Promise of giving you rights into the kingdom. And giving you rights to your priesthood. So how could anything else in the garden be a promise and a seal but the one and through the one? That's just what I was thinking and pondering on. Possibly. All right, let's keep going. So we talked about tokens, some covenant ceremonies including the specific assignment of tokens. The token was an object, event, or emblem that serves as a physical experiment, a perpetual reminder of ownership of the contract, participation in its obligation, the consequence. To violate or desecrate the token served symbolically was to violate the covenant itself. Watch this. Exodus 24, 3-8. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Most High and the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice, all these words we would do. And Moses did what? He took half of the blood and put it in the basin, and half of the blood he sprinkled it on the altar. He took the book of the covenant and read it to the audience, and they said all that the Most High said we would do, we would be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Most High hath made concerning all these things. Now, it's important to understand this because now I'm going to really get into, you're going to have to be in the Most High's protection because there's some stuff that's going to happen. And if you ain't in your right mind or in the right place spiritually, you're going to be taken. Now, grace have never meant unmerited favor. That's what we just thought and from a Greek mindset. But when you look at the pictograph on the paleo of what grace is, you'll see these words chet, nun, and he. And chet means fence or gate or seed. And he means really to behold. So the idea from the pictograph of what grace is for the seed to be fenced in as they behold. Behold anew the Most High. So grace in a pictograph understanding is for the seed to be what? Saved. Or fenced in.
Protected, okay.
Or protected. So when it says Noah found what? Protection. Grace. He was fenced in the ark when the Most High came to destroy what? The earth. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at this. When he brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, what did he do? He put blood on their doorposts to do what? Fence them in so they would be saved when what? The angel, the death angel came. Same thing happened when all the destruction, because y'all got to know this because destruction finna hit America specifically.
Yes. Because of innocent blood, you better be in the right place spiritually. I ain't talking about geographically, but spiritually. Because when all these things was happening in Egypt, if the Israelites would have been caught up in Egypt, they would have been destroyed with them. And we are on the brink of the destruction of spiritual Babylon. Because it's too much innocent blood on this land. You got our ancestors, then you got nations that they done went in there and just obliterated. And the Most High coming with vengeance. Specifically for America. Then you got so many babies that are being killed strategically with abortion. Innocent what? Blood being what? Spilled. So you better make sure what? You are in what? The fence, the seed in the fence, beholding the Most High in the realm of what? Safety. Go ahead.
Question. And I don't mean to get off topic,
You all right?
But just like they were able to protect themselves by putting blood on their front door to protect them from what was to come, how are we supposed to protect ourselves when we know the destruction that is coming to this Babylon?
Well, that's twofold. You got a natural protection and a spiritual protection.
Right.
The spiritual protection is doing what we're doing, making ourselves right in the covenant. And then because the blood has already been given to protect us, that's why we're not in the fullness of the new covenant yet. We are been covered by the blood of the Son right now. Because remember, before the Israelites came out of Egypt, what had to die first? The lamb. The lamb had to die before they went to the marriage covenant, which was what Sinai got the Torah when the Most High married them. So the lamb had to come before the marriage. He had to die to cover us because he knew we was going to get scattered. And now, it was what it says, the lamb was already slain before the foundation of the world. Before we was even scattered, he had already paid the price for when we were returned back to him with all our heart, mind, and soul. And then it put us right where we're supposed to be protected when what? The death angel or the vengeance come upon this land. That makes sense. Now, natural protection, you better have some natural protection too. That's why at one time Yeshua told the Israelites to go out without no script, without no nothing and all that. Then the second time he said, go get your sword, go get two if you got to. You remember that? Remember when he said that? I think that's in Luke 17. So you don't want to never just offer up your family to anybody. You want to be protectors of your family. Because it's a difference between protecting, defending your family versus just going out there killing somebody. All right? All right, let's keep going. So let's look at capital offenses, and you got to look at the capital offenses in the Bible. But one of the capital offenses that was the death penalty that you couldn't sacrifice an animal for. One of them was murder. And murder, when the Bible said thou shalt not kill, it ain't just talking about killing somebody. Because that'll be a contradiction when the Most High told them to go kill people. But when you look at the root word of what they're understanding is thou shalt not murder, which would have ill intentions just to murder somebody with no reason, or just because you have a vindictive and indictment against that person. So let's look at it. Thou shalt not murder, Exodus 20:13, Deuteronomy 5:17, Matthew 5:2. The shedding of innocent blood is an abomination to the Most High, Proverbs 6:16-17. God requires the blood of who?
Murder.
God requires the blood of who?
Murder.
For it defiles what?
The land.
So the land, this reason that the land is raging, and the reason that you see the land all of a sudden raging in America, because what? It's so much defiled blood. Now we seeing tsunamis and fires hitting everywhere. The land is going crazy. Next thing you're going to be seeing is earthquakes. We already was talking about Yellowstone having the possibility to erupt, and that would knock off half of the states. There's so much going on. And we already on the brink of war that information got leaked through Australia that America talking about bombing Iran. Now, boy, we don't want to play like that. Because according to prophecy, the Medes going to be the ones that come in and get Babylon. That show you how close we are. We fool with Iran. I don't care how much technology we got. Prophecy say that Iran was going to destroy Babylon. Trump better chill out. He better chill out. Let's show you how close. And now I ain't saying that to be scared, because what the scripture said, when we see all these things, what? Look up, because our redemption drawing out. I'm in the bleachers eating my popcorn. Y'all do what you do. And I'm going to go home. I'm going to go, y'all get back to what you going to do. All right, so those guilty of murder ought to be put to death. Those guilty of murder of the innocent blood ought to be put to death. If a man acts with premeditation against his neighbor to kill with guile, he shall die. One who strikes a man so that he dies is a murderer and should be put to death. Killing for hire is condemned. You are not to act against your life or your neighbor. The law concerning unresolved murder. So in the scriptures we're able to see when you murder somebody, you should be put to death for the blood is coming. Same thing with child sacrifices. And we see that all the scriptures with child sacrifices, that is the same thing. Deuteronomy 30 and 19, when we messed up, it said, I call the heaven and the earth to record against you this day that I've set before you life and death, blessing, the curse, and death, what you life, that you and your seed may live. That the Most High, that we may obey his voice and do make cleave unto him that he is our life, he is the lift of our days, and that he may dwell in the land that we swore. So we understand that we broke the covenant, and what happened to us? Death came. It was even said that we made a covenant with death, according to Daniel 9, chapter 9, verse 10 through 12. So when you break the covenant, and you got to look at our ancestors, watch this now. Our ancestors have innocent blood on their hands. Now, I ain't talking about just the immediate ones, not the one that was over here in America. But our ancestors back then. They got innocent blood, which is our blood, on their hands. Why? Because they knew what the covenant would do, and they still committed it, knowing that the consequences would come down to us. So this is why this thing is traveling all the way down. Luke 21, we done read that before. I'm trying to go fast. This is why we've seen all this time. This said these will be the days of vengeance, when all things that was written, what must be fulfilled. Men's hearts shall fail for fear and for what's coming in the powers and the suns and the moons and the stars and all that. Genesis 4:9. Watch this. And the Lord said to Cain, where is your brother Abel? I do not know. He answered, I am I, my brother's keeper. What have you done? Replied, the voice of his brother, blood cries out to me from the earth. Think of how much blood is crying out to the Most High. Now, watch this. As we were saying before, that Hasatan, he gets his whole system from what he's seen in heaven. So just as the Most High requires a sacrifice and an oath and a covenant, he requires the same thing. A blood sacrifice, a oath, a witness, a signed seal of the Torah. So this is why even that for some of these entertainment people to reach those levels that they reaching, they have to give a blood sacrifice. And they even speak of these things.
I said that.
Sometimes it be the sacrifice of their children, sacrifice of loved ones. Somebody has to die, or they have to give up their life as a blood sacrifice in order to get these things that they are able to get. And so why else would a man that have $1 million, got everything we trying to do, want to kill themselves? Because what? The guilt of their selling of their soul constantly hunts them. Because they got everything we trying to get. We trying to get money, we trying to get houses, we trying to get all that type of stuff. They can get any woman they want to get, any man they want to get. But because of the gift of this sacrifice that it had to do with Hasatan, because what? The earth has been given into the hand of who? The wicked. Let's keep moving. This is why Matthew 4, watch this. And Hasatan taking him up into the seat and said, who he took? Yeshua. To the seat in the high mountain, showing him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And said unto him, all these things I will give to thee if thou wilt fall down and worship me. That worship there serve. So how does he have power to give that? It was given to him, so he has power. Go ahead. Do you think that Hasatan stopped with Yeshua?
Nope.
So everybody that's going down the line that they gave up these things have all these riches because what? They didn't sacrifice. All right. I'm going to hit this and then we're going to get ready to close out in a minute. Genesis 11. Now what happened in Genesis 11? Now I'm going to show you something. Babylon. The confounding of language. Watch this. The confounding of languages. The Most High said they doing everything with one consent. It'll be nothing that they won't be able to do if I don't come down and do what? Confound their languages. So you had, at one point, all the earth was speaking one language. Then all of a sudden, their languages can get confounded. And then you had some groups that would say the same language. They get over here, the other group would get over there, the other group would get over there. So they would go different places. But watch this. The only way that they could communicate is through signs and symbols. This is where you got your inception of these fraternal Masonic orders that communicate through signs and symbols and hide things from you in plain sight. So this is why they are always on the music videos. You always see them going like this, or you see them going like that, or you see them going like this. All these type of things are signs that they are signaling to each other, given their commitment of their oath to these fraternal orders. But the inception of it was here, and this is how they was able to communicate, because they couldn't understand each other's languages, but they knew the signs and the symbols that governed their area at the time. Right? So let's look at some of these things. In the inception of return of Luciferian Masonic order, the signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor laws. Symbols are the language of something invisible that's spoken in the visible world. Let's look at some of the symbols. You might see this. Now, it's way deeper than that. This is just the surface. You might see it just watching a music video. You can pull one up today and they throwing like this right here. Throwing their allegiance, throwing their sign, throwing their seal. It's the sign and the seal of what? Their covenant that they made with what? Death. That gave them the opportunity to have these riches. So if you look at this, it's representing the Luciferian all-seeing eye that is completely reoccurring and refueling the 666. So this is what this represents. Same thing here. You have the same emblem on your dollar. I'm not going to go deep into this. There'll be another teaching that I can really break this down and what the understanding of that is. I'm just trying to get through it. The same thing with here with Masonic. You might see some of the music artists going like this. And that's saying that they're going to be committed or quiet to the oath that they have made. Remember, the Most High requires an oath too. And all these type of things here are nothing but signs and symbols of these orders that's ruling the world. That's what I'm saying. You can't get away from it. It's on your cars. It's in even where your houses are made. Everything. Georgia Power, all of it. All these type of things, the emblem of it is all fraternal orders. The same thing we hear with Gmail, with Apple, with Google Play, with Facebook, Google Chrome. All these things are signs and seals of these Luciferian Masonic order that is ruling the world in allegiance to Hasatan. Or the
Hold on. This just blew my mind.
Get the mic. Now, I'm not saying you can't do this stuff, but I'm just letting you know what it is. Go ahead, bro.
So now that we understand this, the intent to still operate in these systems, is that considered a defiance?
I'm gonna say this: you can't get away because you can't get in no car in. You can't go to no store. You can't get on the internet at all. You can't wear the clothes you wear. They have their imprint on everything, unless we're making our own clothes and making our own stuff like that too. But their imprint is in all of these things because what? We are in the midst of Babylon. That's one reason that Messiah said, be in the world, but don't be of the world. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just a wisdom we got to have with it. The vengeance of innocent blood. I ain't going to read all that. But when you get a chance, 1 Samuel 12, 9 through 14, this is when David messed up and took Uriah's wife, slept with her, sent him out to be killed. You have to pay for innocent blood. Nathan came to him and told him that, well, I read some of this. Thus says the Most High, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thy own house, and I will take thy wives before thy eyes and give them to thy neighbor, and he shall allow it thy wives in the sight of the sun. For what thou didst secretly, but I will do this before all of Israel, before the sun. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Most High. And Nathan said to David, the Lord hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit, but because this deed thou hast given great occasions of the enemies to blaspheme the Most High, thy child also that is born unto thee shall die. And he also told him that the sword shall never depart from his house because of what he bought on himself for spilling innocent blood. Same thing in Jeremiah. Jeremiah went out to prophesy against the people of what the Most High said. And they told Jeremiah, why you always coming in here talking against us, talking about what God going to judge us and do these type of things? They said, we going to kill you. Jeremiah said, you going to kill me? You going to spill, in so many words, you going to spill innocent blood? The people backed off. Because they know if they did that, well, they would bring the curse upon themselves. We understand that. Anybody got a question? You look perplexed a little bit, Mama. You got a question? Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Now watch this. Watch what we did. Luke 2:34. And Simeon blessed and said unto Mary his mother, Behold, this child shall be set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel, and shall be for a sign that shall be spoken against him. So Messiah was going to be for the fall and the rising back up again of Israel. So how was he going to cause Israel's fall if he came to give them abundant life? Let's keep reading. Matthew 27, 23 through 25. And the governor said, Why was evil have he done? But they cried out, saying more. So this is our ancestors trying to tell Pilate, we need to kill him, we need to murder him. Now Pilate trying to get him out of this. Verse 24. Verse 23, and the governor said, Why? What evil has he done? But they cried more, saying, Let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could not prevail, but rather atonement was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude. Watch what he said. Saying, he even knew this, being a Gentile. Saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. So he washed his hands and took whatever effect that could have came on him off him. And said, I'm not in, but watch what our stubborn ancestors said that caused death to come upon us all.
Let his blood be on us.
Let this end. Now they knew what this would cause. Because he was supposed to come and take Israel from these things and gather Israel back as a nation. But when they rejected him and said, we don't even want him killed, we want the consequences of his death. They answered, let his blood, his innocent blood be on us. They could have just left it right there. We should have been turning somewhere in their DNA. Don't say that second part. But it said, let his blood, the innocent blood, or the consequences or the curses of killing an innocent man be upon us, not just us, but our lineage. And this is why the worst tragedy in all of our captivities was when we went into captivity of the Muslims and when we went into the transatlantic slave trade. Those are some of the worst ones. And let's look at how the same thing that happened to Messiah happened to us as a people, intensified. Messiah, when they said let his blood be on us and our children, they beat Messiah on the post and bull-whipped him, and the least amount of whippings that he got was 40, what we was known for when we messed up. Getting what? Bull-whipped. At the least 40 lashes. And every time that whip hit us, it would lash out and take our skin out. I burnt myself on the doggone... I was trying to do a little cooking the other day. I burnt myself on that, but I was like, man, that hurt me. Immediately I thought about my ancestors. When they was branded, they put this on your face. He was whipped, so we was whipped to a greater level. Curses every man that hang on a tree. He was hung on a tree, and what we was known for? Being hung on what? On trees. He was sold by his brothers and those that was close to him. Who were we sold by? Our brothers and those that was close to him. The things that hit him hit us in it with intensity. He was on the stake or the cornrows. Or the stake, I can't say that right. And what is the last thing he said? He said, Father, Father, why have thou what? Forsaken me. What is known in our community? Forsaken fathers. He was killed for his identity. And what was prophesied to what he would do. Why are we killed?
Our identity.
Because our identity and what was prophesied that we're going to rule. So this ain't got nothing to do with you being black. This had everything to do with what's prophesied about you. So I feel like if I kill you enough, that's why ain't nothing going to get better. You have to die, because what? When they kingdom come down, when our kingdom come, that means their kingdom coming down. So what? They going to kill the children of the kingdom. But the crazy thing, girl, just like it was with Moses, the more they tried to kill us, the more we multiply. We should be eradicated right now. You look at all what we done been through. Just in here. We should be eradicated as a people. But say it again. They multiply. I ain't heard that in years. You done messed me up. But the more they try to kill us, the more the Most High keep confirming in us, because he said, if the suns in the heavens and the stars can give up their orders, then the sea can be obliterated. If you can reach down there and find the depths of the sea, and they ain't got no technology that can get all the way down there, because if they do, then Israel can't be a nation no more. So this is why he's saying, I'm going to keep refueling my people and strengthening them and putting my ruach in them, that anything that still come against them, they'll take it, but then they coming back. Because why? It's a promise on their life. And I have to fulfill that promise. So just as he was killed for that, we are killed for that. So how do we come out? Because on us now, on us was what? The blood guilt of the curses of killing an innocent man. We have to receive the blood of the covenant through the Messiah. So when the Messiah did, he did what was necessary to what? Restore that covenant by dying innocently and restoring it and having us an opportunity to come back. And then he initiated us into a priesthood through his baptism. If y'all don't know about that, check out the video we did on baptism. Just check out the video we did on baptism. But it initiates you into a priesthood covenant. And when, in that time, when you have that blood curse upon you, something has to die. But the only way that you can return it back when you kill innocent blood is to sacrifice. Or either you have to die or something has to die. And this is why when we receive the Messiah, because of the guilt of what's in it, it stops all the consequences of the blood curses upon us. This is why when you found out who you were, a lot of the things that was coming down the pipeline start stopping. I know with me, that a lot of the things that I was seeing coming down the pipeline, it started stopping because what? I looked at the Most High. He said, if you return back into me in the land of your captivities, then I can, in so many words, block the tragedy of what was spoken against you. This is why you got to repent for yourself and for your ancestors. But you have to receive Messiah. You have to be initiated into his priesthood through water. And then you have to present yourself as a dead man, a living sacrifice. So now it's what? No longer me that's living, but it's what? Messiah living in me. Because what? I can't keep living and have this what? Curse upon my lineage. So the only way that I can get rid of it, I have to become a sacrifice myself. That makes sense. Just as the animal had to become a sacrifice because of what you did, now we as a people have to become a sacrifice living until Messiah. That's why Romans 12:1 said, present your bodies as what?
A living sacrifice.
Living sacrifice. This is the last slide. And this will have you understand about the gift offering, because the gift offering is what you had to give. Often such sins would have been committed in context of comments of work. The gift offering calls for a remorseful sinner to return what was wrongfully taken plus 20%. Only after selling them out on a human level may the sinner receive forgiveness from the Most High by presenting an animal to the priest for sacrifice. The gift offering uniquely emphasizes several principles about healing personal relationships that have been damaged by financial abuse. Merely an apology is not enough to right the wrong, so we can't just say, I'm sorry. Neither is full restoration for what was taken. In addition, something akin to today's concept of punitive damage was added. But with gift offerings, unlike court-ordered punitive damages, offenders were willingly on a share of the harm of themselves, thereby sharing in the distress that they caused the victim. Part 2. Do all that is required to right the wrong against another person that is only foul for the offender, but is also good for the offender. The gift offering recognize the torment that seized the conscience of those who became aware of their crime and its damaging effect. So when we became aware of our personal crimes and the crimes of our ancestors, we're supposed to do more than just say, I'm sorry. Go the extra mile and commit your life to the Most High and the pattern that his son hath left to rid yourself of the guilt of your sins. Because when you do that, when you come into his covenant and he bring you back by blood and you become one with the Messiah, then he initiates you into his priesthood through baptism, then he released the guilt of that sin that was coming down your lineage. Does that make sense? That way you are identifying yourself to be covered in his life or covered in his blood. That way when the judgment comes now, it'll pass over you just as the death angel passed over our ancestors during Egypt time.
Just answer my question, okay?
But you can't get it passed over you if you haven't repented and committed your life in that blood covenant of one with Yeshua, initiated in baptism, that you can commit your life to him as a living sacrifice. Now it's no longer what you think, but it's what pleases him. And the best way to find out what pleases him is what? Align our life with what his son did. His son didn't bring his own words and do his own things. He did everything what the Father told him to do and displayed it and walked it by example the same way that we're supposed to walk. That makes sense? Any questions? That's it. So we really wanted to break down what was on us, how you recognize it, how you get away from it, and the importance of how serious a blood curse of innocent blood is. Because when he bring the judgment on this nation, you want to be covered. Because what? This whooping that's coming ain't ours. We'd have been whooped already and been whooped enough. This is the world's whooping now. Because he said, if you keep the word of my patience, I'm going to do what? I'm going to keep you from that hour when I come to do what? Try the whole world. Because you've been in your tribulation since your ancestors broke the covenant. That's making sense? Any questions? Was it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Pretty good teaching?
Yep.
Got understanding?
Yep.
So we see how serious blood is to the Most High and that oneness with him and with that. But the tragedy is we will continuously see our brothers and sisters under that curse of let his blood be on us and our children. That's why it's important to get out there and begin to grab them and bring them what? Bring them in the fenced-in wall, which is what? Grace to behold what? The Most High. So grace is fenced-in seed, behold. So we got to get even more busy. Bring our brothers and sisters in. And even our companions as Gentiles. Bring them into the ark of safety also too. Because it's coming. Go ahead, brother. That's a whole nother teaching. Number one is always lifestyle. It's always lifestyle, especially in this walk right here, to show how beneficial this walk has been for you, and allow the Most High to shine light before all men. You know what I'm saying? Show them how committed you are. And like I tell people, I ask them now, have they came into the covenant? I just don't ask them are they saved, because the covenant requires obedience. So have you came into this renewed covenant? If not, then there is a way to keep you from all these things that are happening. See what I'm saying? That's Israelite or Gentile. Go ahead, bro. But it's a whole nother breakdown of that. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, kind of go with the question that, like in this walk, and rather than using words to somebody, like Moses said, if he be lifted up, then he'll draw.
That's right.
So if you glorify him, then people will begin to question, and then you can minister to them.
That's right. That's right.
That means I don't have to go to you and say anything. But if you gonna be like, why you do this? Why you do that? Now I can do it. The door's open.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah. You can definitely do that. Or like we're going to begin to doing, we're just getting more strategic about making people aware of what's going on as far as pulling them to the side, and we're gonna get like little cards and everything where people can look at. It'll have on the card a number that they can call with a pre-recorded line of us telling them about what's happening, what didn't happen. This whole little breakdown will be probably about 5 minutes, and the next step of that is a 30-minute video that they'll watch. Let them see the tragedy of what's going on, and then the next step will be either coming to the actual assembly or something like that. And the Most High will be the one to clean people up.
And I think you're right. I think the Most High, he puts you in front of people. But we do have to use our voice. I can use that. Yesterday, for example, I met 2 different strangers, and I had an opportunity to talk to both of those strangers as casually, and he's waking people up, and they're hearing a little bit, but they just need a little bit more. And the 2 strangers that I talked to, they're like, I'm hearing a little bit about it. Tell me more. And so what I appreciate was you yesterday, when he was saying, I want to know more, I want to know more historic, I need to know more about what you're saying, because I heard a little bit, bam, there you were.
Exactly.
I got the number for you, Mr. Jeff, for you.
Great. I'll call him this week.
And we have to remember that. Sometimes we forget, but our most important walk right now is we have to feed the sheep and find that sheep. We have a job that we're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
And sometimes we get scared and hold back, but it's so easy just to ask a question. Did you hear that? Have you ever heard about you being an Israelite or heard of something? There's something we have to plant our seed, because when the Most High comes back, we don't want to miss that opportunity that we were supposed to have said something.
Exactly.
He's bringing people in our lives for a reason. It's just not happenstance that we're running into people. And sometimes all the Most High wants to know is, we told the person, that person has responsibility, but he listens, and then we have a responsibility. And it could be something small, but I just pray that you don't lose that opportunity by not saying something to that person.
That's real. And they go back, I think it's in Ezekiel about when you're supposed to tell a person something and you don't do it, then their blood will be up on your hands.
Yeah.
So you have to be led by the Ruach. But see, you orchestrate things and bring things together, and it just can be like a simple conversation. You ain't got to have no deep conversation with them to try to bring them in. Just we all earth, so we supposed to plant seeds and it'll germinate most of the time. But we will have a class on effective evangelism, because it's a lot of crazy stuff out there, And then I will be transitioning to going back to because we're having people on both sides. We're having some camps, coming over, being a part of this, and then like I said, but 80% of our people are in the churches, and that was what this ministry was initially set up for, to bring those people in, but bring them in the right way. So I am going to be, not branch out, but start doing things even with my Facebook audience. I'm really finna start dealing with that one on helping people understand the journey that they love one on. We ain't crazy. This is what's happening. This is why our language can change different. This is why we doing that. And this is the breakdown of that. So I'm going to start strategically gearing towards them to make them understand. And have someone, we ain't going to get all, but we'll have some more coming in. Go ahead, bro.
No, I ain't gonna have a question.
Yeah, because that's one of the things for me. I got like 5,000 Facebook friends. I went out promoted for clubs and did all that other stuff on the other side. Like, I be wanting to like go in, but I don't be wanting, you know what I'm saying? So that'll be good to know, like.
Yeah. And what we'll do, we'll have those videos where you can just share them on your page. And just put them on your page and just share them and let people talk. Me and Josh, we'll dazzle it up to keep it interesting, but it'll be short. Because me and Josh, our videos, our documentaries and stuff is long. But it'd be like 20 minutes of that. That's us talking and us breaking different things down to help that out. But we're going to get ready to close out, because we've been here a little while. I appreciate everybody that came. And y'all got anything on your heart and mind? Go ahead, sis.
The lady that you had the testimony of was maybe Brother Josh, where he prayed for.
Yeah.
And the Ruach told him to tell her to drink some water, but he dismissed it. And then he hung up the phone after praying for her, and she was in bad shape. Her head was cold, couldn't breathe, hooked up to oxygen, couldn't talk. And Josh prayed, and then he said he called back and prayed in the Ruach, and she started feeling it from head to toe, and he prayed more, and all of a sudden her back, stretched and popped, and
she became completely healed.
And she felt that stuff breaking up in her lungs. Well, me and her was watching a mutual video, and she said, I just said something like, Shalom, come in, and she said, she must have clicked on my picture, which had my little granddaughter and her friend, and she said, Are you the sister that was in the Passover at in Selma, Alabama? If not, it's okay. Macy is. And I said, that would be me. And she friend requested me, and we've been talking on now on Facebook all the time. And then a couple of people, I can't say their names because it's in the book. A couple of other guys had sent me friend requests, married guys and other sisters. So I just am thankful for it.
Yeah, we're just becoming a family.
Some it's some fans.
Some friends.
No, I really, honestly, I mean is, I am thankful to have some Israelites on my page that's in the truth, and I'm not all alone on my Facebook where I can't say nothing or, you know.
You feel like isolated, that you can't really express yourself.
I do, and I mean, I put a little thing on there, and I said, I don't want the Israelites to think I'm in the Christian thing, but I just put little stuff for them because it's not even in the church.
Exactly.
They in the church, they not in the truth.
Yeah.
And it just showed a man pushing somebody in a wheelchair into hell. But he's in a wheelchair, spiritually handicapped. Because I said they won't preach sin and judgment.
Yeah, you got to reach them where they at.
Click, you know, like on that, and I said, I don't want you to take this wrong in the comment. I said that these people think they're okay. And I feel like it's my job to say, put some little, like she said, some little
That's being a
seed out
witness.
there.
That's being a witness. You got to reach people where they at. You
Where
know?
they're at.
Exactly. So there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Well, Mother, I know we was gonna pray. You wanna do it now? Pray. Let's pray. What? Get everybody to stand up and come around the front. Let me cut this off. We're gonna put Mother in the middle. We're gonna pray over